Good evening, everyone. I will call our meeting to order, and I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Mi'kma'ki in the district of Sipekne'katik, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. East Hants further acknowledges the 50 African Nova Scotian communities whose 400-year history have contributed to the province's culture, history, and legacies. We are all treaty people. We will now have a moment of silent contemplation. Next, we will set the date and time for the next council meetings. The regular meeting of Council for Policy and in camera will be March 10th, 2026, and the regular meeting of council March the 25th, 2026. Does someone want to move those dates?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Contrary? Motion is carried. Are there any errors or are there any amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, I declare the agenda approved. The minutes of the regular council meeting of January 28th, 2026. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, I declare the minutes approved. Next, we'll go to correspondence for information. Councillor Mitchell.
Yes, to staff through you, Madam Warden. Item number 47, the Department of Fisheries written warning, but Jesse, the director, has left. So I just wanted an update and see if we're compliant or where we stand.
CAO.
Through you, Madam Warden. So we did receive a warning about the timing of one of our reportings of levels that were out of sync with where they should have been, which is, I won't say a common thing, but when we do take tests quite often. The warning came from us telling the fisheries officer in the afternoon rather than emailing them. That's the general gist of it. So we are going back and forth with them just to make sure that this should be a warning, because we don't really feel like it should be, and we're hoping that we can make some headway.
Okay, thank you for that. Just a quick question on the Lawrence House Museum, item number 76. I see the province is closing it, and I just had a thought that what the cost might be, the municipality would run it, and I talked to the director earlier, but everybody else might not know the answer, so that's the reason I'm bringing it up, so clarifies the air on that.
Go ahead, Alana.
Thank you. Through the warden. Certainly a great question. I think the announcement that we heard last week that then continued into this week was certainly eye-opening. We don't have exact numbers for that. We actually don't have museums as an internal service provision that our staff do. We support museums. I don't have a number for that, but I would expect that it would be significant. I would expect that there would be significant capital investment into the property, into the building. And then in terms of operations as well, you would have to have a number of interpretive guides, and there's collections and archives and things like that that are associated with museums that's just, again, not a service that we provide, and we don't have staff on site that have that level of expertise. So I think the answer would just be significant right now without actually knowing all of the details. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's all, ma'am.
Councillor Rhino.
On the same subject, item 76, the closure of the Lawrence House. I'm glad my counterpart is concerned about the museum. We do not have any answers yet as to what's happening, what's gonna happen with the museum. Is it gonna be mothballed? Is it gonna be sold? Where the content's going? We don't have any answers at this current time. I've contacted the MLA through a text message, and he was supposed to be looking into it, and he said he would get back to me. And as of today, he hasn't done so. This is very concerning. It was closed about 2 years ago, and it was closed because they blamed a lack of workers or whatever it was. But anyway, there came a community group that stepped forward, was created, stepped forward, and had the Lawrence House last season open to several days a week. This was working well. We were looking forward to another year and maybe opening a few more days with the help of the community group. Now all of a sudden we've had the bucket kicked out from underneath us, and bang, we're gone. We thought we had a commitment from the province and the premier. He came out and met with a bunch of people at Freeze and Roy, and that was one of the issues that was discussed out there. So we thought we had somebody on side, but obviously it went by the wayside. I would move that the council write a letter to the premier, to the MLA, and the Minister of Tourism, expressing our deep concern with the closure of the Lawrence House Museum. We're trying to build as a municipality, I so move, but as we're trying to build a municipality and for the Royal area, which tourism is part of that. This is a major blow to that. Major blow is a very small word with big repercussions. I wish that they would reconsider this, and a lot of people have talked to me today, sent me emails and things like that. And, they're very concerned, like, why did they take the tolls off the Halifax bridges? Now we're paying for that. Now our Lawrence House is gone, and other museums around the province, I think there's 12 in total, are gone. It doesn't seem very fair. And anyway, I moved that we had write a letter of our displeasure and perhaps reconsider going forward.
Seconded by Councillor Mitchell. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. And the motion is passed unanimously. And just before we move on, I did neglect councillors. We do have regrets from Councillor Hebb this evening. Okay, any more correspondence for information that anyone wishes to bring forward? Seeing none, we'll move to correspondence for decision. Oh, we've got a screen full here. Okay, we will start with item 77. The 2-year pilot contract for the court liaison officer position and the administrative support position for the East Hants RCMP. I will turn it over to the CAO.
Thank you, Madam Warden. So councillors, when we went to increase our officers by a complement of 5, we also put in a pilot to have 2 administrative positions added to the detachment to support police officers in their day-to-day duties and their court liaison duties, as far as getting them administrative support leads to having them out doing more policing more often. So the contract took a couple of years to get off the ground. We are now coming up to a 2-year mark where the pilot is will be over in May. They have 2 staff people that are in those positions that are excellent and obviously are looking to know what's going to happen with their contract past May. And the staff sergeant and I spoke yesterday, looking to see where council stood on maintaining those two positions at the RCMP detachment. So the money for this is in the budget based on what we anticipated a full year would be for these two positions. I have reached out to Department of Justice to see how you formalize this into a formal contract long-term, if that's the route you want to take. I would suggest, if this is the route that council wants to take, that a motion to direct me to enter into a long-term contract, a permanent contract for these two positions with Department of Justice would be in order. If you want to have any discussions about this, I would suggest that that we could add that to our in-camera later this evening if you want. Thanks, Madam Warden.
Thank you. Councillor Perry.
Thank you, Madam Warden. In talking to some of the officers that are on the road and from the police reports here and the amount of staff time, I'm going to move that council direct the CAO to negotiate a new permanent contract for the court liaison position and the administrative support position for the East Hants RCMP.
Do we have a seconder?
And further to that, I would hope that we would engage in conversation with as part of that, with the Department of Justice about the numbers of officers per administrative supports that are supposed to come, because I believe one of those could be part of that agreement. Thank you.
I have three people wishing to speak to the motion. Is yours to the motion, Councillor Tingley?
It is. I'd like to have some discussion around it, whether it's gonna be camera after.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, Warden, I'd like to have some discussion around it. I don't know if what I would have to say should be said in camera, or you mentioned about if we need discussion around it. I'd like,
There are HR
Yeah.
implications.
I
is the
don't
thing.
have a lot of problem with it, but I have some comments about this.
Okay, we can defer it to in-camera.
Okay, so is it agreed that we defer discussion on this item till we are in camera later this evening? Do we need a motion to defer that or until,
I'll make a motion to
or to
defer it,
table until?
or table it till we discuss it in camera.
Okay, all those in favor? Contrary, motion is carried. I guess I should have voted the other way. All right, back to correspondence for decision then. We have a request from the Riverview United Church seeking tax exemption for a new affordable housing project, sorry. Who's taking this one?
I can, Madam Warden.
CAO?
So we do have a request in for, to see if council would be willing to look at tax exemptions for a proposed 8 or 9 unit affordable housing project. My recommendation to council would be to request staff do a report on what that might look like and bring it back to executive committee for your consideration.
Councillor Tingley?
Through the chair, I'd move that staff provide a report and recommendations regarding the Riverview United Church proposal.
Seconded by Councillor Mitchell. Decision on, or discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. Motion is passed unanimously. Okay, next item, the NSFM Spring Conference will be held at the Rod Grand Hotel in Yarmouth from April 29th to May 1st. Registration is expected to open in March. I'm not sure it didn't open today. Yes. 5 rooms have been secured at the host hotel. The budget typically includes the warden, CAO, and 3 counselors. So we will consider delegates here this evening. So we'll see if you have an interest in going. light up your microphone. Counselor Tingley, Counselor Miriam?
Interested in going, but if somebody else that hasn't gone wants to go, that's fine as well.
Counselor Miriam?
Yes, thank you, Madam Warden. Yeah, essentially the same. I'd be interested in attending, but of course, there's flexibility. Thanks.
Counselor Mitchell?
I'd be interested. We'll see who else is interested, and
Okay.
I didn't go to any last year, so.
All right, so we have 3 counselors who have an interest in attending. Are there any other counselors who have an interest in NSFM Spring Conference? Well, seeing none, no one else, and Counselor Hebb did indicate that he wouldn't be able to go either, so we know that. So we have the, myself, the CAO, and 3 other counselors, which is what we typically budget for. If someone wanted to make a motion to appoint those delegates. Counselor Perry.
I move that the delegation for the 2026 NSFN Spring Conference consist of the warden, the CAO, Counselor Mitchell, Counselor Tingley, and Counselor Merriam.
Second that.
Seconded by the deputy warden. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. And the motion has passed unanimously. Okay, next item. The FCM registration for the FCM Annual Conference and Trade Show opens Thursday, February the 26th. It will be held June the 4th to 7th in Edmonton. I did think that was the date, but I guess I was wrong. So we traditionally send the warden CAO and up to 3 counselors to this conference if there is interest. So I would once again look for counselors who might be interested in attending. Counselor McPhee?
Thank you, Warden. Yes, I'd be interested in going, but I did attend the FCM in Ottawa last year, so I know if there's someone that hasn't attended in the last year or 2 that would like to go, that's certainly good with me.
Okay, so I'll just read. I have Counselor Mitchell, Counselor Tingley, Counselor Merriam, and Counselor Musa are all interested as well. So, so we have 5 persons interested out of a possible 3 to go. So how many people went last year? Let's start and do it that way, because that's how we always did do it. Raise your hand if you went last year. I don't, well, I go every year. So Counselor Merriam and Counselor McPhee went last year. And Counselor Perry went last year, but you're not on the list to go this year. So if we take Counselor Merriam and Counselor McPhee, which is how we traditionally did it, was if there were more, then that would leave Counselor Tingley, Counselor Mitchell, and Counselor Musa. Okay. Now, do any of you counselors wish to speak that have the lights on? Okay, so then I would be looking for a motion to appoint these folks as delegates. Come on, somebody, we just need to formalize it. Counselor Perry.
I move that for the FCM Conference and Trade Show to be held June 4th to 7th in Edmonton, that the CAO, the warden, Counselor Tingley, Counselor Mitchell, and Counselor Musa be the delegation for East Hants.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. And the motion is passed unanimously. Next item. We have a letter from the Chignecto Central Science Fair Committee seeking funding for the March 2026 Science Fair to be held at the Pictou County Wellness Center. A similar request was received last year, and council advised that council is supportive of a science fair program, but there is not a municipal grant program that would suit this request. However, funding is available to support East Hants students should they qualify for a national science fair. And the letters from 2025 were attached as a reference. Does someone from staff wish to speak to this? Or there's no further information, so counselors, what is your wish? Do you wish to do differently than previous years, or send a similar letter that we sent last year, making them aware that? Counselor Mitchell.
Thank you, Madam Warden. I think we should send a similar letter indicating our support for East End students if they're chosen to go.
And you're making that a motion?
Yes, I make that a motion.
Seconded by Counselor Merriam. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. Someone has not voted. I have 9 people that voted, and we are 10. The motion is passed unanimously. The next item, we have an email from Harold McNeil, the president of the East Hants Curling Association, regarding municipal recreational rental rates, seeking a rent reduction. Who's taking this one? Okay. Did you want? Okay, I'm going to go to Alana. Counselor Merriam, did you want to speak to this prior to hearing from staff, or?
Well, after would be fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, through you, Madam Warden. So the email from Mr. McNeil is before everyone there. And within the initial email, I believe if it's further down, they indicate that they wanted brought forward as part of the 26-27 budget process to again have council consider a reduced rate for the group. They gave some examples within the body of the email of other curling clubs. And following some discussion and given the fact that we have discussed rental rates this time last year, where we set forward the different ice rates we have at the Sportsplex, I did go back and I just also reminded of the council motions that were made in July. So in July, we discussed grant funding for the group, which they did receive, Bonspiel funding, event hosting grant, as well as not-for-profit insurance grant. But just to let him know that those motions specifically spoke of not reducing rates for the group and not addressing that until we have the recreation facility master plan done. So we did go back with that information, similar to the previous discussions. And then again, he responded that he still would like that brought up as part of discussion at council. So that's where we are right now.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Merriam.
Thank you, Madam Warden. And I just wanted to acknowledge that Mr. McNeil is a passionate supporter of curling in East Hants. And I do recognize that the East Hants Curling Association did submit a business plan for a facility, a curling facility, which I believe was back in 2020, now more than half a decade ago. But where this is the 4th time in the past year that curling rates have come before council, I do believe that we have already decided collectively on this particular issue. Again, I appreciate Mr. McNeil's efforts to promote curling in East Hants. Thank you.
Okay, do we require any kind of a motion to respond to Mr. McNeil?
Through the warden, I think it would be prudent to just make a motion of maybe responding with the previous information and articulating that those motions still stand until such time that we have the completed rec facility master plan, et cetera, et cetera.
Someone prepared to move that motion? Okay, Deputy Warden.
I will move the motion.
Staff understand that?
Yes, thank you.
Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Counselor Mitchell. Any discussion on the motion?
And I would suggest perhaps saying that council is not looking to reduce rental rates at this time.
Yes.
Added as that as well. Thank you.
Seeing no discussion, we'll go to the vote. And the motion is passed unanimously. Okay, next item. We have a letter from Build Nova Scotia requesting a waiver of all municipal fees associated with the development of 16 units of new public housing on provincially owned land located at Lot 1, Mill Village Road, Shubenacadie. Who's doing this one? The CAO. I'll let the CAO speak to this, Councillor Perry, and then go to you if that's okay.
Through you, Madam Warden. So when this request came in, John did put together the table that is attached to the information attached to the request. As you can see, there's some nominal fees associated with building permits for builds such as this. There are significant water and sewer infrastructure fees associated with a 37-bedroom facility, and about $4,200 in sewer hookup fees. I guess historically, as you've discussed things with the province and different landowners that have requested such, the message has been that the infrastructure fees are not negotiable because they actually pay for the capacity in the system. And if they're not paid for by the developer of such a unit, that it would be paid for by the residents and through taxes and through the urban service rate. So I guess this is a tough one. You may want to put it to your in-camera discussion later on if you want to have some conversation around it. I'm not sure where council sits, where this is a little bit different than where we've stood in the past. This is around sort of public housing, which is different than, commercial developments or other provincial facilities. So I really don't have any advice for you. This one is, you've got the information in front of you, and it really is a council decision to make. You may want to reference your housing strategy if there's anything in that you want to leverage. Again, you could ask for a staff report for this to be brought back in March to your executive committee, or we can prepare to discuss it in camera later on this evening.
What would our reason for in-camera be? Possible contractual issue?
Well, I think if you're talking about your relationship with the province and you're looking at a contractual request, this is a request for you to waive fees for the province.
Okay. Councillor Perry.
Yeah, I was gonna move that, similar to the last item, that a staff report. I'll move that a staff report be created on this with a jurisdictional scan. Sorry, I can't say that word tonight. Outlining what is being done in other municipalities that are part of the same project.
Seconded by Councillor Merriam. Councillor Garden Cole.
Thank you, Madam Warden. So we are not going to discuss this any further in camera later this evening?
This motion asks for staff to bring a report back. Any councillor is free to make any motion they want if you want to have further discussion before, we have the report.
You can table that motion to go in camera.
No, that's okay.
Councillor Mitchell.
Yeah, just a curiosity question. Would this be just a one-off, or would this be something that could trigger other projects going forward in the future?
Through you, Madam Warden, I think this is a precedent-setting request.
Yeah.
This isn't really necessarily about, right now it's a public housing project, but it could be a, affordable housing project, whatever, it could be a nonprofit. You've seen another group looking for tax exemption on a nonprofit. So I think you really do need to evaluate where you're at with your housing strategy and what your principles are around your role in developing either nonprofit or public housing. The difference here is this is the province that's building these housing units, which is different than a nonprofit, very different.
I was just thinking of the request from the River United Church, and
Right.
see how they weighed each other.
They're very similar, but very different at the same time. So a nonprofit and the provincial
Affordable
government
housing.
are two different.
Okay, I'll
different
wait for the
entities.
report, thank you.
Counselor Garden Cole.
Thank you, Madam Warden. I would feel more comfortable having a brief conversation about this even before it goes to a staff report. And then maybe it can go to a staff report. But I'm going to make a motion that
Gonna move to table pending discussion.
I'm going to move to table the motion to request a staff report pending a discussion later this evening in camera.
Do we have moved and seconded? If there is no discussion on a motion to table, we'll go to the vote. And the motion is passed by a vote of 7-3, with Counselor Merriam, Counselor Perry, and Counselor Tingley voting nay. So we will come back to this later on. And that concludes the business. Oh, Counselor Tingley, you had a,
Through the chair, I was going to support getting a staff report. At first blush,
but the motion to do that has been tabled.
Yeah,
It can
I
be
reali-
lifted. It can be lifted from the table, I think, later this evening after we've had
I
discussion.
realize that. I was on before that tabled motion. I just wanted to make the comment. I understand where Councillor Garden Cole is coming from. And at first blush,
But the motion has been tabled, so I'm not gonna
Okay.
allow discussion on a
That's
tabled
fine.
motion.
okay.
Okay. That concludes correspondence for decision. How's our time? We're a little bit late. We do have a public hearing scheduled for this evening. The public hearing is from Chorus Worldwide, Inc. So, we'll move into our public hearing. Councilors, this evening we have one item on the public hearing agenda. The purpose of this hearing is for council to hear input from the public prior to making a decision on the proposal. To the members of the public who have chosen to participate this evening, welcome. Please note that council's procedural policy requires that you not cheer, boo, clap, or otherwise disrupt this hearing. Everyone that wishes will have an opportunity to be heard. Tonight, council may approve, reject, or defer its decision to a later date. Council approval is required for the proposal to proceed. I will now ask the municipal clerk to outline when the public hearing advertisements were published.
Madam Warden, a public hearing notice appeared in the February 11th, 2026 and February 18th, 2026 editions of the Chronicle Herald. The notices described the proposal, gave the date and time of the public hearing, and indicated that staff reports were available to the public.
Councilors, the public hearing item this evening is for a proposal by Chorus Worldwide, Inc. to amend the land use bylaw. I would now ask the Chair of the Planning Advisory Committee to present his report. Go ahead, Councilor Mitchell.
Planning Advisory Committee has considered the proposal on behalf of Municipal Council. The committee has reviewed staff report, completed their evaluation, and will make a recommendation to council during this hearing. Madam Warden, through you, I would now ask staff to present their final report on the proposal.
Would you mind pressing? Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Warden. So the applicant is Coors Worldwide. They're located in Belnan, and they're identified here under the subject property. The property is zoned highway commercial, and the surrounding property is zoned rural use and agricultural reserve. And their proposals to amend the land use bylaw by increasing the maximum commercial floor area of the highway commercial zone from the current 930 square meters to 2,750 square meters. Again, this is just a satellite image showing the subject property and showing the surrounding uses. We have rural residential uses and agricultural reserve uses. There's currently a 771 square meter commercial building located on the subject lands, and Coors Worldwide is proposing a second 378 square meter commercial building. They have the intention to construct another building in the future. The current maximum commercial floor area of the highway commercial zone is 930 square meters. The land use bylaw currently doesn't have any policies to enable the applicant to apply for a development agreement for land uses beyond the 930 square meters. Therefore, the applicant is applying for a land use bylaw amendment to increase the HC zone maximum commercial floor area to 2,750 square meters. And the intent in the municipal planning strategy for the highway commercial zone is to provide for commercial uses which make extensive use of land, especially automobile-related uses that service the traveling public. The 2,750 square meter area is consistent with the overall maximum gross floor area in the general commercial zone, which is another commercial zone that we have. The general commercial zone permits both commercial and residential uses on the same property, and it's intended to have less intensive commercial use. There are 21 properties in East Hants that are zoned highway commercial, and the proposed change would impact the gross floor area of each of these properties. This is a site plan that was provided by the applicant. Although it's not the proposal is not site specific, it does show how they planned to increase the size of their development. So this is the existing commercial building here, and then this the proposed commercial building here. And this is just a map showing the highway commercial zoned lands. We have lands, for example, the Enfield Home Hardware in Enfield that are zoned highway commercial, Elmsdale Landscaping in Elmsdale, in Shubenacadie we have, again, another Home Hardware, and then there's a few smaller properties in the Mount Uniacke area, and then in 9 Mile River there's some land as well. In order for Coors Worldwide to expand its existing business, an amendment to the East Hansel Fisher Community Plan is required. The highway commercial zone is intended as a land-intensive zone, and staff recommend that the maximum commercial floor area be increased to match the total maximum floor area of the general commercial zone, recognizing that the highway commercial zone is intended to be a more land-intensive zone than a general commercial zone. Economic and Business Development staff were asked to comment, and they support the increase in the gross floor area. Amendments to the land use bylaw are appealable to the Nova Scotia Regulatory and Appeals Board. Staff have followed the citizen engagement policies, and this is just a flow chart showing that we're at the public hearing stage for tonight's public hearing. Thank you, Madam Warden.
Thank you. Does any member of council have any questions for staff? Councillor Musa.
Thank you, Madam Warden. I know the few property in Mount Union, they're very close to some residential homes. I wonder how that will affect those homes, and I really, after thinking about it now, I don't know how it bypassed me, but I was thinking that those homeowners should be at least notified to have some input from them, because it's going to affect their daily life. Like, there's some homes that very close to those properties, and by increasing that, like the noise and stuff coming from those commercial uses, I think those residents should have been notified at least. I don't know how it bypassed me, but that's how I stand now. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors have any questions for staff? Councillor Mitchell.
Through you, Madam Warden, do you know if the commercial establishment reached out to the neighbors on that side, same side of the road?
To you, Madam Warden, no, they have no requirement to reach out to the.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from council for staff? Seeing none, I would now ask if the applicant has any comments or would like to make a presentation. My understanding is that the applicant is not able to be here.
Through you, Madam Warden, yes, that's correct. I did talk to the applicant yesterday, and they regretfully weren't able to attend this meeting because they were called away on work to a meeting in Ontario.
I will now open the floor for comments and questions. If you are viewing the YouTube live stream, you may use the YouTube chat feature, which is being monitored. First, does anyone attending in person have any questions or comments? Seeing none. Does any member of the public have any questions or comments through the live chat on YouTube? No, I'm told there are none. Does any member of staff have any final comments?
No, ma'am.
I would now ask the Chair of the Planning Advisory Committee to present his committee's recommendation. Councillor Mitchell.
Planning Advisory Committee recommends that council give second reading and approve the application of Coors Worldwide, Inc. to amend the land use bylaw by increasing the maximum commercial floor area of highway commercial zone to 2,750 square meters. As Chair of PAC, I so move.
Do we have a seconder? Seconded by the Deputy Warden. Are there any final questions or comments from municipal councillors? Councillor Musa.
Thank you. Debbie, can you please show us where the properties in Mount Uniacke, like,
Sure. Through you, Madam Warden, the properties are, there's two on Highway 1, one right here, one right here. When I looked at them, I couldn't tell exactly what the businesses were that are located on it. It looks like a home and then probably some sort of business. Now, they are relatively small in size, but as of right, they could do any of the uses currently that are in the highway commercial zone, and they would have to meet the setbacks the same as any other property that has the highway commercial zone. And then this one up here appears to be a trucking business off of, I think it's Old Mines Road, yeah. And I believe it's a trucking business.
so the one in Lakeland that we approved last couple years ago, what kind? The one in Lakeland's like the cabinet shop, is that highway commercial or regional commercial?
Through Madam Warden, that was a different zone.
Oh, different zone.
Yeah.
So one more question, like, I know those two lots on Highway 1, they're quite small, so how much percentage of the lot? So up to 2,700 square meter, is there any percentage of the lot?
Through Madam Warden, under the current regulations, there's no percent maximum coverage that they can do, so there's no maximum coverage for the
And
lot.
the distances are reasonable from residential?
So they're supposed to, if there's a new use, sorry, through you, Madam Warden, if there's a new use put onto that property, then they would have to follow the buffering requirements, for one, and then there are setbacks from the property lines, and I can tell you what those setbacks are in just a moment. So those would be unserviced lots, so your setback would be maximum front yard would be 12 meters, minimum rear yard would be 12 meters, and the side yards would be 6 meters.
Okay, so those lots are very small, I don't think they're gonna be able to do that, so it won't affect, okay, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Okay, seeing none, we will go to the vote. And the motion is passed unanimously. So this concludes tonight's public hearings, and I thank everyone for attending. So going back to our agenda. We are at first reading of bylaw A 300, encroachment on municipal real property bylaw. And that is Norval or Councillor Garden Cole. Go ahead.
Regular meeting of council, February 25th, 2026. First reading, bylaw A 300, encroachment on municipal real property bylaw. The Corporate and Residential Services Committee received a staff report outlining the proposed new municipal real property bylaw, including provisions for managing, licensing, and enforcing encroachments on municipal property. The Corporate and Residential Services Committee recommends that council give first reading to bylaw A-300, encroachment on municipal real property. As chair of the Committee and Residential Services Committee, I so move.
Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Tingley. Is there any discussion on the motion? And I don't have my deputy warden, so I will pass on my comments. I will have opportunity down the road to comment. So seeing no one else left to speak, we'll go to the vote. And the motion has passed by a vote of 8-1, with myself voting nay.
Another recommendation will be coming forward as part of the Corporate and Residential Services Committee report, seeking another report regarding properties adjoining and adjacent to the DAR line.
Okay, next we will have first reading of bylaw P-1200-1, an amendment to bylaw P-1200, lot grading and drainage bylaw. Councillor Mitchell.
Regular meeting of council, February 25th, 2026. First reading bylaw P-1200-1, an amendment to bylaw P-1200, lot grading and drainage bylaw. The Planning Advisory Committee received a staff report as a result of a 5-year review of bylaw P-1200, lot grading and drainage, and identified updates. The Planning Advisory Committee recommends that council give first reading to bylaw P-1200-1, a bylaw to amend bylaw P-1200, lot grading and drainage bylaw. As chair of Planning Advisory Committee, I so move.
Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Perry. Councillor Rhino.
Thank you, Madam Warden. Through you to staff, I just want to clarify that this is only pertaining to the serviced area.
Jesse?
Through you,
Or
Madam Warden.
John, sorry.
Yeah, through you, Madam Warden, correct. This is, the area it applies to hasn't changed.
Thank you.
All right, seeing no one left to speak, we'll go to the vote. And the motion is passed unanimously. Next item. First reading, bylaw P-1000-2, an amendment to bylaw P-1000, the dog bylaw. Back to you, Councillor Garden Cole.
First reading, bylaw P-1000-2, an amendment to bylaw P-1000 dog bylaw. The Corporate and Residential Services Committee received a staff report as a result of the termination of the contract with the Nova Scotia SPCA with proposed amendments to the dog bylaw and municipal fee policy regarding impound and boarding fees. Bylaw amendments include definitions of kennel and noise, defining neighborhood and persistently replaced annual dog tags with lifetime tags, and added the option for a dog to be microchipped in lieu of a tag. At the February 17, 2026 Council Policy and In-Camera meeting, Council tabled the motion to make changes to the municipal fee policy, requesting another report. Changes to the policy regarding fees will come forward to a future meeting. However, the Corporate and Residential Services Committee is recommending first reading be given to the dog bylaw amendments at this time. The Corporate and Residential Services Committee recommends that Council give first reading to the bylaw P-1000-2, an amendment to bylaw P-1000 dog bylaw. As chair of the Committee and Residential Services Committee, I so move.
Moved and seconded, and just for clarity, the fee policy will be coming back at a later time, correct? Yeah. All right, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. And the motion is passed unanimously.
Another motion seeking a report following a year of service on the number of usage and options of providing our own kennel service will come forward during the Corporate and Residential Services Committee report later in the meeting.
Okay. Next, we have second reading on bylaw A-200-1, an amendment to bylaw A-200 water supply and on-site sewage disposal system upgrade lending program bylaw. Counselor Garden Cole.
Second reading, bylaw A-200-1, an amendment to bylaw A-200 water supply and on-site sewage disposal system upgrade lending program. The Corporate and Residential Services Committee received a report recommending amendments to bylaw A-200 water supply and on-site sewage disposal system upgrade lending program to transition the program to a permanent fund capped at $500,000 with loan repayment reinvested in minor housekeeping amendments to clarify household income requirements, adjust income limits for inflation, and allow limited flexibility for applicants in default under exceptional circumstances. Council gave first reading on January 28, 26, and can now proceed with second reading. The Corporate and Residential Services Committee recommends that Council give second reading to bylaw A-200-1, an amendment to bylaw A-200 water supply and on-site sewage disposal system upgrade lending program bylaw. As chair of the Corporate and Residential Service Committee, I so move.
Seconded by Counselor Merriam. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. Motion is passed unanimously. Next on our agenda, we will go into committee reports. We will start with Counselor Rhino for Police Advisory.
Thank you, Madam Warden. The committee held its monthly meeting at the Executive Committee meeting on February 17th, 2026 in Council Chambers. RCMP quarterly report. Staff Sergeant Balamaceda and Corporal Simpson presented the staff report titled East Hants Direct RCMP Quarterly Report February 2026, which provided an update on human resources annual performance plan. The Police Advisory Committee recommends that Council instruct staff to work with the RCMP to establish a workshop agenda for the committee to provide input on the annual performance plan for East Hants. Chair of the committee, I do so move.
Seconded by Counselor Mitchell. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. And the motion is passed unanimously.
That brings me to the end of my report.
Thank you. Next, we will have the Corporate and Residential Services Committee report. Counselor Garden Cole.
The committee held budget meetings on January 29th, February 5th, February 10th, February 12th, and February 19th, 2026. And the regular monthly meeting was held on February 17th, 2026 in council chambers. The following motions are coming forward as a result of these meetings. First item, Community Partnership Fund 2026-27. Staff presented the Community Partnership Fund 2026-27 report during the budget meeting held on February 5th, 2026. The report provided the annual review of the program, noting that the 7 current recipients have applied to continue their funding, and 1 new application was received from the East Hants Farmers Market, but it was redirected to the General Government Grant Program. The Corporate and Residential Services Committee recommends to Council that Council approve the list of recommended Community Partnership Fund organizations to be included in the draft 2026-27 budget and grants to be dispersed following final budget approval. Corridor Community Options for Adults, $15,000. East Hants Community Rider, $50,000. East Hants Family Resource Center, $40,000. East Hants Historical Society, $20,000. East Hants Sports Heritage Society, based on operational expenses, up to $5,000. East Hants Youth Links, $8,000. Kids Action, Annapolis Valley Hants Community Action Program, $20,000. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Second it.
seconded by the deputy warden. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. And the motion is passed unanimously.
Second item, General Government Grants 2026-27. Staff presented the General Government Grants 2026-27 report during the budget meeting held on February 5th, 2026. The report provided an overview of funding and the organizations currently included in the program and noted one new application from the East Hants Farmers Market that was redirected from the Community Partnership Fund. The Corporate and Residential Services Committee recommends to Council that pending appropriate documentation is received and the passing of the 2026-27 budget, Council approve the following general government grants for disbursement in 2026-27. Remember Canada's Heroes, $1,000. Hants County Exhibition, $500. Dr. Snow Bursaries, $7,500. East Hants Food Bank's Christmas Programs, $14,000. Coat Association, $2,000. Constable Heidi Stevenson Memorial Golf Tournament with the RCMP, $1,000. 4-H sponsorship, $200. Recycle Your Cycle, Rotary Club, $500. Safe Grad Activities, facility fees up to a max of $7,000. East Hants Farmers Market, facility fees up to a max of $4,000. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Mitchell. Is there any discussion on the motion? Councillor Rhino.
Thank you, Madam Warden. I will not be supporting this motion for the fact that of the Dr. Snow bursaries and how it was arrived at. I do still think that we should be giving more bursaries note instead of upping the ante for the ones that go out there. So I will not be supporting the motion because of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Go ahead, Councillor Garden Cole.
Thank you, Madam Warden. I do want to comment on that as well. I would prefer to have seen more bursaries going out without the raise in the amount of bursaries. While it's not going to make a huge impact on people, I definitely see the value in having more recipients. Having said that, I will still support the motion because there are a lot of worthwhile allotments that we are giving out here, and so I don't want to not support it for that reason. Thank you.
Seeing no one else, we'll go to the vote. And the motion is passed by a vote of 8-2, with Councillor Musa and Councillor Rhino voting nay.
Item 3, letter of support, Sebag-Negaty. Councillors express support to Sebag-Negaty during their current state of emergency and best wishes for a positive outcome. The Corporate and Residential Services Committee recommends that Council direct the CAO to send a letter of support to Sebag-Negaty during their current state of emergency, indicating that Council is thinking of them and hoping that things turn out the best as possible. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Seconded by Councillor Mitchell. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. The motion is passed unanimously.
Item 4, Climate Action Plan. The Sustainability Coordinator and Manager of Real Estate and Corporate Projects presented the report titled What We Heard So Far. East Hants is updating its Municipal Climate Change Action Plan. This updated plan will help guide the municipality in preparing for both long-term climate changes and sudden extreme weather events. A key part of this work is building open and ongoing dialogue with residents, municipal staff, and council. To date, 416 people have participated in the engagement process. The Corporate and Residential Services Committee recommends that Council receive as information the What We Heard So Far report dated January 2026, which summarizes the results of engagement activities conducted in 2025 as part of the Municipal Climate Change Action Plan update. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Do we have a second by Councillor Mitchell? Councillor Tingley.
Through the chair, and I might have asked this question in the last meeting, but I don't think so. As far as engagement with the community, like I'm a little concerned about only 416 people participated so far. Is there a plan to try to get more people to participate? Or what can
Adam?
people still send in the surveys?
Through you, Madam Warden. So the surveys are complete for now.
Right.
That is the initial part of the engagement plan. So we are working with some of the schools and Clean Foundation to get into some engagement with the youth and
Right.
working through that. We are also, councils briefly discussed as part of their planning review, looking at how climate can integrate into that conversation, as well as an additional level of engagement. And we are also looking at how we get back out into community again. So I guess what I would say more succinctly to your question is we're at the beginning of engagement. That survey is finalized, however, there are other processes coming down the road and opportunities.
Just a final question. Is there somebody that the public can contact or where they can submit their information?
Through you, Madam Warden, absolutely. You can, ultimately, you can direct them to me, but I can provide counsel with Anne's email, that if you're in contact with residents, they can reach out. And as council saw, Anne's always willing to have a conversation and listen, and I think that would be the direct
Perfect.
contact.
Okay, thanks. That's it.
Okay, any further questions? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. The motion is passed unanimously.
Fifth item, bylaw A-300, encroachment on municipal real property bylaw. The intent of bylaw A-300 is to provide a clear, consistent, and enforceable framework to help us manage encroachments on all municipal properties. Discussion was held on how this bylaw would impact property owners on the DAR line. First reading of this bylaw was dealt with earlier in the meeting. The Corporate and Residential Services Committee recommends that council ask staff to bring back a report outlining how this bylaw would work around properties adjoining and adjacent to the DAR line. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Mitchell. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. The motion has passed by a vote of 9-1. Councillor Perry voting nay.
Sixth item, bylaw P-1000-2, an amendment to bylaw P-1000, dog bylaw and municipal fee policy. The SPCA will no longer be providing dog control services for the municipality after March 31st, making amendments to the dog bylaw and updates the municipal fee policy necessary. These amendments include an update to the definitions of kennel and noise, defining neighborhood and persistently, replaced annual dog tags with lifetime tags, and added the option for a dog to be microchipped in lieu of a tag. Updates to the fee policy include the addition of impound and boarding fees. First reading of the bylaw was dealt with earlier in the meeting. The motion to give notice of intent to update the municipal fee policy was tabled at the council meeting held February 17, 2026. The Corporate and Residential Services Committee recommends that council direct staff after a year of kennel use to bring a report back on the number of usage and so on and so forth, in addition to a report on the options of going our own way with regard to kenneling. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Seconded by Councillor Rhino. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. Motion is passed unanimously.
Seventh item, snow removal, Uniac Business Park. The Corporate and Residential Services Committee received a staff report regarding adding the Mount Uniac Business Park to the winter road maintenance contract list and aligning it to the same service standard as the Elmsdale Business Park. The Corporate and Residential Services Committee recommends that council direct staff to provide the Mount Uniac Business Park winter road maintenance at a priority 1 service level as established in the East Hants policy for winter clearing standard for roads and sidewalks, aligning it to the same priority level as the Elmsdale Business Park for fiscal year 2026-27, and to set the same service level of winter road maintenance for all municipally developed business parks going forward, with adjustments to be made for no salt use areas as requested. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Seconded by Councillor Perry. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. Motion is passed unanimously.
Item 8, 2026-27 to 2030-31 capital budget. The Corporate and Residential Services Committee concluded the review of the 5-year capital budget. The Corporate and Residential Services Committee recommends to Council that the 5-year capital budget for the fiscal years 2026-27 to 2030-31 as presented be approved and adopted effective April 1st, 2026. Administration is given approval to proceed with the previously approved capital projects and those in the approval sought sections, subject to any conditions limiting such projects in previous motions of Council or in policies of Council. Should time permit, staff are authorized to embark on projects in this capital budget that require long-term pre-planning prior to April 1st, 2026. Projects approved for further study are approved in principle only. Amounts identified as approved for further study cannot be expended prior to presentation of a full report to Council for consideration or approval through a future capital budget process. Where time permits, staff are given approval to proceed with approval sought projects from 2027-28 prior to April 1st, 2027. And that any projects approved in the 2025-26 capital budget not reflect as carried forward to the 2026-27 capital budget, but that are substantially committed as at March 31st, 2026, shall be carried forward to 2026-27 based on the remaining budget at March 31st, 2026. And that this 5-year estimate of capital spending from the capital investment plan as required by the federal and provincial government funding agreements. And that the water utility sections of this budget are permitted to stand alone as the East Hants Water Utility Capital Budget as required by the Nova Scotia Regulatory and Appeals Board. And that staff be given authority to alter the sources of funding where necessary, but in no case shall the amounts to be debentured increase without prior approval of Council. And that Council seek ministerial approval for a temporary borrowing resolution for any amounts in this capital budget under the debenture debt category of funding. And that pre-approval to borrow amounts in this capital budget under the debenture debt category of funding for a term not to exceed 25 years at a rate not to exceed 6.5%. As Chair of the Committee, I so move. Thank you.
Seconded by Councillor Mitchell. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. And the motion is passed unanimously.
Item 9, 2026-27 operating budget. Following a series of budget meetings, the Corporate and Residential Services Committee completed the review of the 2026-27 operating budget documents. The Corporate and Residential Services Committee recommends to Council approval of the 2026-27 operating budget as amended by the committee during budget deliberations with a final table of adjustments and rates to be prepared for Council's consideration on February 25th, 2026. As Chair of the Committee, I so move.
And Councillor, okay, moved and seconded, and councillors, we do have those final rates in front of us. Councillor Tingley.
Through the chair and to staff, well done on the budget. I like pretty well everything in it, and I think you've done a real good job. But there's one thing that does trouble me, and that's the salaries. And not the budget increases for staff or anything like that, but the added staff. I'm not satisfied with how it was explained. Some of the increases are, there's one department that's 24% and the others are some others in the mid-teens. I would like to have had more data. Overall, I like the budget, but for those reasons, I'm not going to vote for this budget. That's it.
Thank you. Councillor Musa.
Thank you, Madam Warden. I also wouldn't be supporting this budget. And the reason why I've been that's my 10th year in the budget. And every year we found out there was a discussion about how council can reduce the tax by 1 cent or half a cent. And that by using the deed transfer tax and reviewing it every year. And this year we didn't go through that. And I think council didn't have any input on, we have input on what was presented to us, but it wasn't a budget as usual for me because I always look to lower my resident taxes. And especially now we have five districts that's gonna pay 2 cents for fire rates more than the others. So the impact on those residents and the burden is gonna be way higher. I still think by reviewing the deed transfer tax every year, help council to make a better decision with that, with what's coming. And I will be very disappointed if I see that surplus this year over 1 million from that. So as every year in the past 10 years, so I wouldn't be supported for this year. Thank you.
Okay. Director of Finance is asked to weigh in. I'll go to Councillor Rhino first and then to you, Wade, if that's okay. Sure. Councillor Rhino?
Thank you, Madam Warden. I too won't be supporting the budget. And similar to Councillor Tingley, it's based on the number of staff. I've been sitting here for a long time, and in the last few years, there's been an increase of staff that is quite significant. I don't agree with the increase in staff to the amount that is in the budget. When I look around and I see the provincial government that are cutting their staff in the civil service and so on, I see the belt tightening that's taking place. I hear HRM discussing the possibility of management positions taking a pay cut. Things are tough, and we are going to go out there and we're going to say, okay, we cut the rate by 1 cent and also the commercial rate by 1 cent. So it sounds good, but really, when you have an increase in assessment, as we do pretty well every year, that decrease, we're still going to be paying more. That 1 cent decrease did not help them from paying more taxes. So we're going to be out there paying more taxes, and many people see this as smoke and mirrors. However, if we'll have to abide by the will of council, but I will not be supporting this budget. And I think if, we should have at least considered more, another resource or a resource that was mentioned for what's coming down with regard to through the fire service from the province. So those are my feelings. I will not be supporting it. Thank you.
Wade?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just wanted to review this list of adjustments. Most of them you've seen already, but some of them are new. If you look at the top there, the first one is an adjustment that relates to a familiarization bus tour for council that we needed to put some more dollars in. We haven't discussed before, but talking to the CAO about this, we should add that in. It would be coming from a reserve to take care of that, so no impact on the bottom line. Then we talked about the Dr. Snow bursary. You've already passed a motion in relation to that. That's $4,500. And that amount would come from reserves as well, so no impact on the bottom line. Then the next 6 lines are all of the items in relation to the fire department's increases for 2 cents. So it's increasing the revenue that we get in, but it's actually, flowed out as well, so has no impact on the bottom line. The solid waste transportation contract, the $14,500. We talked about that at the February 13th executive meeting in relation to the increases in that contract. So we've put that in as well. And you can see that that's coming out from waste management reserves. Then the next few items are things that we found in the finance department primarily while we're going through the budget and found things that needed to be adjusted. So you can see there's a $50,000 item for the DAR line. When we created the first budget draft, we actually put $50,000 too much expense in it. So we're correcting that now. I'll skip down to the second from the bottom. That's actually something that we missed in the budget preparation as well. We had to fix the tax exemption amounts relating to bylaw F400, but also there's a little bit in there for the MTAP exemptions as well. So that's actually an increase in costs that we had to put in the budget. And then the line above that is the winter road maintenance at Uniacke Business Park, and talked about that at the business meeting as well. $5,090 to up that service level for the Uniacke area. And then the bottom line is simply the difference between those the three lines above it, which is actually money that will go back into the contingency reserve. And by taking all of those adjustments into account, we actually end up with a zero impact on the bottom line from what you've seen before. We started with the initial budget, which was a zero balanced budget, and all of these adjustments will, at the end of the day, result in a zero or balanced budget. And I just want to mention about the tax rates. These are all exactly the same as what was in the 25-26 budget rates, with the exception, of course, the three fire departments, let's see, there were Milford, Lance, and Enfield all going up by 2 cents. And then the general tax rate, of course, being reduced by 1 cent from 79.5 to 78.5, and the commercial tax rate being reduced by 1 cent from 2.57 to 2.56. And those are the adjustments, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Perry.
Thank you, Madam Warden. I will be supporting this budget because I think it's a good budget. I think everybody's worked hard continue to move the mark down, regardless of how we got there. But the thing is, if you look at a lot of the other units around us, they're talking about 10 to 12 cent increases, and we're talking about a 1 cent decrease. So I really do think we're doing a good job. We are the third largest municipality in the province now, and we are continually to grow. And I don't have an HR report, but I would care to guess that we do not have the third largest staff. And when you look at building, like when you go to get a building inspector to come inspect your house, it used to be 4 or 5 years ago, it was every 3 days. Now it's 2 to 3 weeks, right? And so we do need to grow because the residents in our municipality deserve to have at least the same level of service, if not better. So for that reason, I will be supporting the budget. And I see as we grow as a municipality, as our assessments grow and as our population grows, it only makes sense that you need to grow your staff. You can't do more with less. It just doesn't work. Thank you.
Councillor Tingley.
Through the chair, I might have said some of this before, but I want to say it again. I think this is a good budget overall. I think this municipality's very well run financially and has been for years. That's pretty obvious based on their financial circumstances. HRM in the province would be only too fortunate to have a CAO and staff that run this municipality. And maybe they might not be in the same predicament they are in now. But for me, I just have a problem with the data on the sizable increases. And that's the only reason I can't vote for this budget, or I'm not going to vote for the budget. And I just don't feel that I got an adequate answer on those items. But everything else, I'm satisfied and I'm good with. That's it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. And the motion is passed by a vote of 7-3, with Councillor Musa, Councillor Rhino, and Councillor Tingley voting nay.
And I believe this concludes my report.
Thank you. We will now move to the Planning Advisory Committee report. Councillor Mitchell.
Thank you, Madam Warden. The committee held its regular meeting on February 17, 2026 in council chambers. The following motions are coming forward as a result of this meeting. Number 1, Plan 25-011, Coors Worldwide, proposed amendment to the land use bylaw. This is dealt with at the public hearing this evening. Number 2, Plan 23-001, Cottage Country, request for initial consideration of a development agreement. The municipality has received an application from Cottage Country to enter into a development agreement to permit an expansion of Villages of Long Lake development. The land under consideration is located between East Uniacke Road, Nature Drive, and Long Lake Road, East Uniacke, adjacent to the existing Cottage Country development. Concerns were expressed that the emergency access road leads to Long Lake, a provincial road, which is in poor condition. The Planning Advisory Committee recommends the council give initial consideration to enter into a development agreement to permit 370 dwelling unit Bearland condominium development on 323 hectares of land with multiple use development, commercial and residential, for lands owned by, I guess that's PID 3230,
Owned by,
pardon?
that's the numbered company.
Okay. Owned by 3230225 Nova Scotia Limited, which is Cottage Country, and identified as PID 451-55314, PID 454-03144, PID 453-92602, and PID 451-55306, East Uniacke, to enable a public hearing and authorize staff to schedule a public hearing. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Seconded by Counselor McPhee. Is there any discussion? Counselor Perry.
Thank you, Madam Warden. I'm wondering, because we didn't get a lot of photos in the staff reports leading up to this. I'm wondering if we can get photos of the proposed connection to Long Lake Road, the condition of that road, and maybe even information from Public Works on the maintenance schedule for that road, because that is something that I do know is a concern for residents. If they're gonna be, using that as connected, and then all of a sudden, we're gonna have to take over part of that as a municipal road. So it's something that, right now, this time of year isn't ideal for photos because everything's covered in about 6 feet of snow in Mount Uniacke. So I don't know how that plays into everything. Thank you.
John?
Thank you, Madam Warden. We can certainly provide more of that information in the next staff report. Yeah. Hopefully the snow will melt eventually.
Counselor Musa.
Thank you, Madam Warden. For that, everybody in here know I love development and I'm all for development, but I'm for like safe development, and the state of the East Uniacke Road right now. I know it's not our road, but it's not gonna last for a long time, and it's not in the 5-year budget for the province. And I know by lobbying the province, now the clearance of snow on East Uniacke have worked well after Jesse sent the letter and the residents start sending emails to Public Works. So I wonder if a letter asking the province if they will have East Uniacke Road, the rest of East Uniacke Road up to that development looked after in the next couple of years. This way we can make a good decision for that development, because the truck traffic on that road it's gonna be a dirt road. And I know Jesse have drove on it and I told him about it, and both shoulders are going. I know it's not in our hand, but I think we should lobby that with the province about. We have a big development and we're worried about approving it because of the condition of the road. It's gotta be safe, like, we approve, residential neighborhoods, we gotta make sure there's safe road to get to it, so. I don't know how we
I think
enforce
that
that.
would be a separate motion. There is a motion.
I'm just asking if that will
on the
help,
floor.
if that will help, or
And I
doing
would
it-
just caution that when we put in specific requests for specific extra maintenance to specific roads, that decreases maintenance on roads oftentimes in other places. So it becomes a hard thing to balance.
that too,
Jesse?
yeah, I agree too.
Through you, Madam Warden, I don't have the specific letters in front of me. There have been at least 2 official letters that the municipality has sent to advocate for working to improve the conditions on East Uniacke Road. It did result in, and the advocacy was from Eder Road all the way to Nature Drive. It did result in some work, but not all the way. And so there was acknowledgement of the first phase requesting for additional work. That said, there hasn't been subsequent work added to get all the way to Nature Drive. That is in the 5-year plan. But I just wanted council to be aware that there has been some advocacy to date. If you wanted to continue to do so, absolutely make another motion for more of that advocacy, but I just for history reference.
Thank you. Councillor Garden Cole.
Thank you, Madam Warden. So I just want to clarify, Councillor Perry had requested more pictures and about access and lots and whatnot. That is not looking for a report. That's just more information as we move down the process of this application?
Yes. This is
Oh.
not directing staff to write letters to another organization.
Okay, just wanted to confirm that. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we will go to the vote. And the motion is passed by a vote of 9-1, with Councillor Musa voting nay.
Number 3, Plan 25-009 McIntosh Road, David Mado request to redesignate and rezone. The municipality received an applicant from David Mado to redesignate and rezone his land from agricultural reserve to rural use. Following discussion at the Agriculture Advisory Committee in January, the applicant has amended his application to request only a portion of the land be redesignated and rezoned. The Planning Advisory Committee recommends the council give first reading to propose amendments to the MPS and LUB by changing the land use designation and zone for agriculture reserve to RU to rural use for a portion of 47 McIntosh Road, Upper Nine Mile River, and authorize staff to schedule a public hearing. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Moved and seconded. Councillor Perry.
I'm gonna support the motion because it's what the applicant wanted, but I want to say I am disappointed in the agricultural committee coming back with that recommendation, considering the proponent here provided a report showing the quality of the soil was poor. And I mean, what's next? Are we gonna have quarries be zoned agriculture? So I'm disappointed that it wasn't, thought of and discussed better. Thank you.
Councillor McPhee.
Thank you, Warden. Yes, and I can understand Councillor Perry's point of view there, except reports are reports. Sometimes they're written to give you the results you want. And as was pointed out during our agricultural meeting, that's basically the same soil that's all the way through the Shabnaki River Valley. It grows, that type of soil grows corn, it grows hay, don't grow carrots there. But it's not bad soil, it depends what you grow there. And just on that same road, a lot down and several lots down is a beef farm. They make hay, they support themselves off it, so it is good agricultural land, but not for everything. So the report is kind of misleading in my mind. Thank you.
Councillor Rhino.
Hey, Madam Warden, similar to Councillor McPhee, and I won't go over everything he said, but that is similar land right through Shuby, as he said. While I respect the councillor's comments on this, I don't want to take anything away from the Agriculture Advisory Committee. We came, we discussed, we came to an agreement, and we made a recommendation. His comment to me kind of put the Agriculture Advisory Committee in a bad light, and I really am not happy with that. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. Motion is passed unanimously.
Number 4, Plan 25-013, Arkman Development Limited, supplementary report regarding parking. The municipality has received the applicant of Arkman Development Limited to amend the municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw to enable the construction of townhouses on Dory Lane infield. as a result of concern expressed by PAC in January 2026 regarding parking standards, increased parking requirements are proposed that will be applicable to all new townhouse developments. The Planning Advisory Committee recommends that council direct staff to include the amendments to the land use bylaw parking requirements for townhouses as outlined in the staff report dated February 4, 2026, and amended by committee on February 17, 2026, in the current application submitted by Arkham Development Limited. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Seconded by Counselor Merriam. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we will go to the vote. And the motion is passed unanimously.
Number 5, Plan 25-010, Sunny Point Farms, request to amend the land use bylaw. Philip
Vrew.
Philip Vrug of Sunny Point Farms is requesting amendments to the municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw to reduce the minimum setback requirement for an intensive livestock operation in the rural use north, the R2 zone, which is where the adjoining property is in common ownership. The applicant is seeking a reduction from 45 meters to 2 meters. Staff proposed a 10-meter setback to be more in keeping with the building code. The Planning Advisory Committee recommends that council give first reading to the amendment to amend the municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw to reduce the minimum setback required for intense livestock operation in the rural use north zone to 2 meters, subject to building code requirements where the neighboring property is commonly owned, and there is no instance shall an intense livestock operation be less than 45 meters from a property that is not commonly owned, and authorize staff to schedule a public hearing. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Seconded by Counselor Rhino. Counselor Perry.
I'm going to support the motion, but I do believe the motion is misleading to the public because by putting a number of 2 meters in, it will give people thinking that they can possibly go down to that size. And the building code requirements might even tell them they have to go 40 meters. So by putting a number in there, I think it gives a false expectation to the public.
Any further discussion? We will go to the vote. Motion is passed unanimously.
Number 6, bylaw P 1200-1, an amendment to bylaw P 1200, lot grading and drainage, proposed amendments for initial consideration. Planning and Development staff have initiated a 5-year review of bylaw P 1200, lot grading and drainage. As part of the review, staff identified several items that need to be updated and reviewed those changes with the committee. This item was dealt with earlier in the meeting. Number 7, 2026-2027 Plan Review Community Engagement Report. The goal of the community engagement process is to ensure that all East End residents can contribute their knowledge, aspirations, and perspective to the official community plan review. In addition to stakeholder input, community input will be sought throughout their plan review. Staff is looking for the authorization to begin this consultation. PAC passed the following motion to recommend additional meetings. The Planning Advisory Committee recommends that council direct staff to schedule an additional meeting in the Walton area, an additional meeting in the Milford-Shubenacadie area, and that the corridor meeting not be held at the Lloyd E. Mathis Center. Unfortunately, the main motion approving of the public consultation program was not made, so staff are suggesting this amended motion. Council authorized staff to begin the community engagement as outlined in the staff report 2026-27, planned community engagement report dated February 11th, 2026, and direct staff to schedule an additional meeting in the Walton area, an additional meeting in the Milford-Shubenacadie area, and that the corridor meeting not be held at the Lord E. Matheson Center. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. And the motion is passed unanimously.
Item 8, 2026-2027 Plan Review. Discussion of items which will not be included in the plan review for the RU2 zone. At their January meeting, PAC requested a report to outline what would be discussed at plan review meetings in Hants North. The Planning Advisory Committee recommends that council direct staff do not reintroduce agricultural land protection, coastal zone management, except to explain that the province has not implemented rules, and should we be instructed by the province to do so, we would have no choice at that time. And settlement zoning within Hants North, or to include any related regulations in draft planning documents. Direct staff to only discuss errors, omissions, and housekeeping amendments to the RU2 designation and zone at meetings in Hants North. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Moved and seconded. Councillor Tingley.
Hants North.
I'm going to vote in favor of this because I don't want to start a firestorm, but I wish that we could be able to discuss these things more openly. There's a coastal land use planner within SFM that are guiding municipalities with respect to the coastal issues. When we go to NSFM or FCM, we hear all about this. In the guide for the Climate Action Plan, there's information in there indicating that 80% of the coasts along Nova Scotia are sensitive to climate change. I don't know what should be done. Like, I'm not a planning expert, but I wish we could get to the point where planners could sit down with the community and the local councillors and exchange the information on this, and hopefully someday we'll get there. That's it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. And the motion is passed unanimously.
This concludes our report from planning.
Thank you, Councillor Mitchell. Next, we will go to the Infrastructure and Operations Committee report. Councillor Perry.
Thank you, Madam Warden. The committee held its regular meeting on February 17th, 2026 in council chambers. The following motion is coming forward as a result of that meeting. The Shubenacadie Water Treatment Plant Goody Monitoring Budget. Staff presented a report requesting the approval of additional funds to complete a Step 2 Goody study for the most recent production well installed for the Shubenacadie Water Treatment Plant to be funded with the Housing Accelerator funds. The need is related to new requirements for environmental data to be captured within 10 kilometers of the plant. The Infrastructure and Operations Committee recommends the council approve an additional $10,000 for the completion of the Goody Step 2 study of the new well at the Shubenacadie Water Treatment Plant to be funded from the Housing Accelerator Fund. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Moved and seconded. Councillor Mitchell.
Yes, Madam Warden. Does Goody stand for something? I just want to make the public aware of what the initials stand for.
Jesse?
GOODY stands for groundwater under direct influence.
Thank you.
Seeing no one else left to speak, we'll go to the vote. And the motion is passed unanimously.
This concludes the report.
Thank you, Councillor Perry. That concludes the committee reports. I'll now hand the chair over to the deputy warden and give my warden's report, and apologize, I'm not as well prepared for this as I could have been.
You are human. Okay, now ask for the warden to present her monthly report, please.
All right, as with the rest of council, it's been a very busy month since our last meeting with I didn't count them, but it seemed like a lot of budget meetings, and we attended those and were able to get through them. There was the heritage ceremony at the Kennecott Church was canceled or set to go at a different date due to inclement weather at the time it was scheduled. We did meet with Minister McDonald and his staff, counselors who were able to be there, and it was good to have discussion with him. We have discussion with him as our MLA quite regularly, but it was good to have his staff and be able to address him as Minister of Municipal Affairs. I did attend an event at the Rawdon District Elementary School where I was judging a group of, I believe it was grade 5 students who had done a project similar to Dragon's Den, where they had to come up with an invention and a presentation, and the top number of students were selected. And I will say the MLA and former Councillor Greg Grant were also judges, and it was a very enjoyable afternoon, and the kids did a bang-up job. Some of their proposed inventions were a little further out there than some, and there were some that I would absolutely buy them if they bring them to fruition. One, that there's a ring proposed that will keep mosquitoes away from you, so I would buy that right away. So it was, I think, an excellent project for the kids, and I did enjoy judging that. Attended, a lot of funerals and visitations, it seems, lately. I also did attend a 50th anniversary function for Vance and Ann Haynes. Was very pleased to present congratulations on behalf of the municipality for that. And other than that, there was the virtual meeting that many of us attended with the fire service review, and that whole thing continues to evolve as the latest bill in front of the province house that they passed has switched gears a little bit, and they have now rethought their position, and may is no longer changing to shall. And what exactly that will mean in the whole process, we're not entirely sure yet, but we'll continue to attend the meetings and do the follow-up and learn as much as we can. And that, I guess, and I'm sure I've probably forgotten somewhere that I went or something I did, but I would, just before I wrap up my report, and I hope I'm not stealing Councillor Rhino's thunder here, but I would like to offer congratulations to Sunny Point Farms. They had an application here lately, but I did see that Sunny Point Farms in Densmore's Mills, owned by Philip and Lori Vrew, took the top score for the best managed dairy herd in Nova Scotia. And also, they were the #1 parlor in all of Atlantic Canada. So just want to send congratulations to them on that, and apologies if I stole Councillor Rhino's thunder, but I'm sure he can add his congratulations to that as well. So anyway, that concludes my report. Thank you, Deputy Warden.
Thank you, Madam Wynne. My shall return the post to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone remember where I started last time? I started over here last? I did? Well, then we'll start with Councillor Tingley this time.
Warden, I've got nothing to report, except for, it looks like Councillor Musa got a promotion here from the Premier to Warden of the municipality. So, congratulations.
That's good to know. I'll know where to direct any irate people.
But no, nothing to report that hasn't already been said.
Thank you. Counselor Musa.
Thank you, Madam Warden. I want to thank Jesse for the letter for the East Uniac Road, and it worked well. And if you can write the letter to the snow lord and tell him that's enough snow for this year, that would be good. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Perry.
Thank you, Madam Warden. Yeah, to echo on my fellow counselor from Mount Uniac, I think we have enough snow right now. We don't need any more for a while, but apparently there's a little more coming tonight. But I want to say, again, thank you to staff and thank you to the public for reaching out to the MLAs and Public Works. The number 1 and the East Uniac Road have been considerably noticed that their level of service has been where it should be and increased. They've been cleared and they were safe for passage through all the snow we got. I also would like to say right now, throughout, this is provincial championship time across the province of Nova Scotia for high school sport and school sports. There are many teams across the municipality and many members of the municipality competing in playdowns for hockey, for basketball, and things like that. And I want to wish them all well in their provincial qualifiers, their regional championships, as they all go. And they're always great representatives for East Hants across the board, no matter where they play. I also will say, I'll pass this on now. I have to pass on my regrets. I will not be here for next committee in March. My kids' March break is different than the regular school March break, so I will be away for that day. I'm going to plug. It's cold. It's been. You want to come out for a good afternoon on March 22nd at the Uniac District Volunteer Fire Hall. There's going to be a family-friendly pro wrestling event going on starting at 2 o'clock. If you want to come in and get out and have a few laughs and watch some athletic prowess go on, it definitely would be a fun have by all. It's always good when they come and the kids have a great time. And the last thing I have is I'm going to ask. I want to thank Wade for the email sent out for the CCBF funding. And I think before next budget, I'm going to make a motion that I would like to have a staff report before the next budget on the CCBF funds, how the funds are allotted from the federal government, and the policy or situation of how we then reallot those funds through the municipality. I think that would be a report that we should have before the next budget for discussion.
So are you making that motion tonight, or you're going to make it closer to budget time?
I'm making it tonight so it can be on their work schedule and it can come sometime in the fall. But I just want to make sure
Okay.
it's on there because I might not remember come that time of year.
Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Counselor Musa. Any discussion to the motion? Staff understands what's being asked? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to the vote. Motion is passed unanimously.
That's it for me. I just want to wish everybody well in the upcoming weeks and stay safe on the roads.
Counselor Merriam.
Great, thank you, Madam Warden. And first off, I just wanted to thank Wade, the CAO, and all staff on a very successful budget process. I know a lot of work goes into that, so thank you for your efforts. February, for a short month, was very busy. I think we'd all agree. The highlight for me was the Milford Meltdown weekend. Well attended, excellent fireworks. It was really a lot of fun. It was a great time. So mark your calendars for next year. Yeah, a lot of meetings this past month. I also attended the Minister McDonald meeting. I met with chiefs from Milford and Lance fire departments, re-budget related issues. I also attended the February 18th fire service training session. And of course, as we all did, attended a number of budget meetings as well. So busy month, but a great month. And that is my update at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. And just before I move on, before I get crucified in my home community, I neglected to let folks know that the Rawdon District Fire Department is holding their winter carnival from February 27th through March 1st with a number of things there. Ham and turkey roll Thursday evening being one of the main things, mostly children's things on Saturday with a dance, and then on Sunday there's going to be a roast beef supper. So, all right. Counselor McPhee. As soon as I find you. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Warden. Yeah, just a couple of things. I was on the Fire Services Zoom meeting, and that was very informative. And I'll leave that at that. Oh, yes, I attended the hearing for the Nova Scotia Regulatory and Appeals Board here about the water rates, and I must say, as much as I thought things would go well, I couldn't believe they went as well as they did. Staff did a great job. When basically the commissioner's only remarks are, you're setting the standard, everything's great, you know all the answers, just as I expected. I mean, really makes you realize what a great staff we have, or it reinforces that. The counselor for Mount Uniacke just mentioned the wrestling, and I was just wondering if maybe either of the counselors was going to be involved in the wrestling, and that would make it really interesting, but possibly not. But I'll show up if they are, let me know. And I just, through you, Warden, to staff, I'm just wondering if Alana could give us, has anything, an update on the Tinsmith Museum.
Thank you, through you, Madam Warden. So staff have been working with the group that operates the Tinsmith on our behalf. And what we have planned for April executive is actually a staff report on the governance review update for councils. So we should be bringing that forward in April.
Okay, thank you very much. I know the residents, and should be quite a few of them are interested in that issue. So that's everything for me. Thank you, Warden.
Thank you. And my humble apologies, I skipped my deputy warden. So over to you, deputy warden.
That's all right. That's not an issue. I, like other councilors, I attended all the budget council meetings, and the fire advisory, and I think there's a lot of things gonna happen in this fire, commission report, whatever you wanna call it. They've changed the shell. No, they changed the may to shell, which I think is gonna make,
No, they didn't.
They're not changing.
They changed their mind.
oh, they changed their mind. Okay, I
Yes.
misunderstood that.
Changed.
Yes,
Okay.
everything has changed now.
I'll reconsider that. I also was invited to, by Mark Sweeney to attend the East Hands Rugby Sweet 16 rugby event at the Sportsplex, which was, well, presented, and the largest crowd they ever had, and, people really seemed to like it. As well, I attended the water review meeting, and I sent my wife a text, said they're starting late, because she had other plans, and I sent her a text shortly after. They finished early, and I seen Jesse, how quick you could get out of here. So everything went well. Outside of that, with the snow, I've actually had compliments in this last snow removal, with the exception of Doyle, which I've never had a complaint before, so things are going more positive. That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Counselor Mitchell.
Thank you, Madam Warden. I too attended the budget meetings and also the meeting with our MLA, John A. McDonald, with his staff. I want to thank municipality for the information during African Heritage Month. There was a couple books on the table in the library with Willie Aree's name on it, so I sat down and read them again for the umpteenth time as see what Uncle was up to, but I know he is busy. I attended the virtual session on the fire service modernization review. Found it very interesting. On February 11th, I attended the library board meeting in Truro. The concern coming from the chief executive there is about funding and what may happen to services if funding is reduced or the status quo stays. There are quite a few libraries in the province that are struggling, and we're hoping that the government, even though they have $1 billion deficit, will see to improve the funding model, which hasn't been improved for the last 6 or 7 years. I had planned to attend the human trafficking session at the Elmsville Fire Hall, put on by Crime Prevention, but it was the night of the snow, and following advice, I stayed off the road. And on the night of the library board meeting, there was a presentation at the Elmsville Fire Hall on intimate partner violence, which talking to Chief Goodman, it was well attended and very rewarding. And that's all, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Counselor Jordan Cole.
Thank you, Madam Warden. As the other councillors commented, I also attended our budget meetings. It's a busy time of year for us as we nail down the budget. As well, a meeting with Minister John A. MacDonald. Fire Services Zoom meeting. I had a bit of trouble, but managed to get on that, and it was very informative. Also, I want to recognize that our parking enforcement efforts are positively impacting the residents on Concord Way. And it's been a long time coming, and I just want to thank the staff and council for their collaborative efforts to bring this enforcement to fruition. And the residents are recognizing it as well, so that's great. And I'm keeping an eye on it, and things are looking really good. So thank you for that. Also, just wanted to give council an FYI that CCOA is preparing to embark on an exciting new residential development at their former location. This will be a CCOA type residential development, and we'll keep you posted on that. It's in the very early stages, but just wanted to let you know if you happen to hear any rumblings around the community, good rumblings, that this is going forward. Finally, I'd just like to note that I'm back and forth to the library a fair bit, getting books, and it's always busy. It's always a hub of activity. But the other evening when I went in, there was a little group going on gathered in a room down at the back. There were kids playing Lego while there were parents mulling around. But what really caught my eye was in the meeting room or the boardroom, there was at least a dozen mid to older age teenagers, and maybe even first year university students, because I inquired about it. It was a Dungeons and Dragon type gathering. And I just want to tell you, it warmed my heart. First of all, because to target that area of youth is something that doesn't get done enough. And yeah, I was really impressed, and that we can put on those kinds of things and potentially do more. You know, when they talk about funding, if that isn't a worthwhile investment in funds at every level of government, nothing is. So I just wanted to put a plug in there. They're doing so much with, I feel like, not that much. So kudos to them. And it has a great impact on our community and our youth. And that's it for District 1. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Rhino.
Thank you, Madam Warden. I too attended all the budget meetings, attended Minister MacDonald's meetings, and was set on in the Zoom meetings for the Fire Services report. Now, speaking of that, I wonder if we could just have a short discussion on the ramifications of staying with May and Shell from the government budget this week. Is that possible?
I don't know if we know them all yet. CAO?
If we could have a short blurb in-camera session about it?
I'm not sure we can do that in camera.
Okay, can we have one out of camera, or in council then?
Through you, Madam Warden, I have read the act that has been put on the floor, but there's been so much else going on this week with budget. Every time, you check your email, there's another list of cuts that the government's made, so trying to keep up with all of that, of course. From what I can tell, they've not made it, they're not going to make changes to the Municipal Government Act to say that you shall have a fire service. There is language, there was language in a briefing that stated that there would be the fire departments that are entities on their own and fire commissions would remain that way, or can remain that way. They're not going to force those to become a municipally led fire service, which is a complete about-face from where they were 5 days ago. So I'm not sure how that happened, when it happened. They did have 2 sessions with elected officials last week. I wasn't at one of them, but I was at the other. I think the message was fairly clear from the elected officials who hadn't been engaged terribly up to that, not terribly, they hadn't been engaged a whole lot up to that point. So they did give some feedback, and I'm not sure whether that's what swayed this legislative change or not. There will be, this legislation set up things like the fire commissioner at the provincial level, deputy commissioners, some of the training elements of the fire service. It also says that municipalities and fire services, I believe it's a shall, work together to do fire service reviews that will be set out of what that review looks like in regulation. So now we have to wait for regulations to come out to know what that fire service review looks like. And one of the questions floating around is, well, what if the fire service doesn't want to do a review? What's going to happen there? So I don't know what that's going to mean, whether the regulations are going to say you shall participate in this or you shall not be a department. I don't know. But it certainly talks about municipalities and fire departments collaboratively doing these fire service reviews, and I believe that's a must. They must do these reviews. So a lot has changed based on the conversations we've had at this table, and I think we're still at another wait and see what the regulations say now, which is actually, we're in a better spot than we were, because I didn't think that there was even going to be legislation until September. So hopefully they can get some regulations written around the fire service reviews, and then we can know where we stand and what we should be doing. I believe there's no requirements for a fire chief, as they were talking before. So that is something that's changed. Now, that's not to say that you as a council might not want to hire a fire services coordinator and embrace some of this change that was being proposed, and you can still work with your fire departments to improve the governance structure of the service. What that looks like, we don't know, because it's going to be in regulations at this point.
So will we be getting an in-depth at the executive committee level?
That depends on when the province gives us more information.
Yeah, through you, there is a mayors, wardens, and CAOs session tomorrow evening that the NSFM has put out. I'm registered for it. I assume we'll get the warden registered for it.
I'm not available. What time is it tomorrow evening?
5:15.
When did that come out?
Yesterday.
I have spoken to them about springing these things on municipal officials with little to no notice.
Yeah, so this is a
5:15 I can do.
This is a NSFM briefing. I'm not sure if Department of Municipal Affairs folks are going to be there or not. There is a lot in this budget that needs to be paid attention to. A lot of cuts, and not necessarily, well, there's a lot of programs that have been cut. A lot of so PCAP and FRIP, so your flood programs and all those programs have been cut. But there's also a lot in this budget that cuts things for nonprofit groups, arts and culture groups. So that is going to create some pressure on municipal councils, I would think. And what comes next, we don't know. Sorry, that's a little off topic.
Yeah.
Will we get, once we know more about the fire service, I'll be sharing it with councilors. And if there's something to share or an update to be made, we will certainly bring it back to committee as we did last time. We did a report on the 40 recommendations. At this point, it doesn't look like all of those recommendations will be implemented. So we'll have to see where we go. I know the Public Bills Committee will be going over the legislation, I believe, within the next day or two, if it wasn't today. And hopefully NSFM will have some more information after that.
Well, it amazes me how the winds of politics change from a nor'easter to somewhat of a southerly breeze, and somewhat of a southerly breeze changes too quickly to a quickly nor'easter. So, but that's provincial politics, I guess.
And I'm now registered for the NSFM session.
Anyway, on February the 18th, I presented an 80th birthday certificate to Irene Sampson of Selma. She was very appreciative of it, and we had a great evening of chatting and reminiscing. In Sunny Point Farms, I guess the warden stole the thunder on that, and I congratulate them for their achievements. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, that concludes business from councilors. We do have, sorry, Councilor Perry.
Thank you, Madam Warden. Looking at the budget and looking at all the programs that were canceled, I do know our NSFM dues went up the last number of years to fund and increase their staff to manage these programs for the province. So I wonder if there's been any talk or consultation with NSFM about what's gonna happen, because that was one of the things they took on, was divvying down this money to municipalities through a lot of these programs. I don't know if it's the ones that were cut or if it's the ones that are still in place, but I definitely think it's something that the membership of NFSM should look at, and I will not be attending the spring conference, but it's definitely something that should be talked about there. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We do have a couple of contractual issues and a legal issue to discuss in camera, so I would be looking for a motion to go in camera.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Contrary? Motion is carried. We'll wait for staff to give us the go-ahead. Okay, I would report that we met in camera to discuss some contractual and legal issues. We do have some motions coming forward as a result of those discussions. First, we'll go to Councillor Garden Cole.
Thank you, Madam Warden. Move that council approve an amendment to the text of the defined benefit pension plan, retirement plan for the employees of the municipality of the District of East Hants, which will prohibit members, effective February 26, 2026, from transferring contributions into the pension plan as currently allowed under Section 4C, members transferred contributions.
Seconded by Councillor Mitchell. Not to the motion, Councillor Perry, you're, no one wishing to speak, we'll go to the vote. Motion is passed unanimously. Okay, Councillor Perry.
Thank you, Madam Warden. I move to lift the motion that states the council direct the CAO to negotiate a new permanent contract for the court liaison position and the administrative support position for the East Hants RCMP.
Moved and seconded. The motion is listed from the floor. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay. Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. Motion is passed by a vote of 9-1. Councillor Tingley voting nay. Now, we do have one more motion to be lifted. Councillor Perry?
I move to lift the motion to receive a staff report to explore the Build Nova Scotia request for a waiver of municipal fees associated with their development of 16 new units of public housing on provincially owned land located at Lot 1, Mill Village Road, Shubenacadie.
Moved and seconded. The motion has been lifted from the floor. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. Okay, Councillor Perry, could you repeat that? The motion is to have a staff report. Is that?
Yeah, if you just wouldn't mind reading it one more time.
I move to lift the motion that requested a staff report to explore the Build Nova Scotia requesting a waiver of all municipal fees associated with their development of 16 units of new public housing on provincially owned land located at Lot 1, Mill Village Road, Shubenacadie.
Moved and seconded. The motion has been lifted from the floor. Discussion on the motion. No, sorry, I'm back up. We need to vote on lifting it from the floor. Yeah. Yes, sorry. Okay, so, all right, the motion, we're voting on lifting the motion from the floor now. We're gonna fix that. We're gonna fix that.
So if we lift it, isn't on the floor? Can we make another motion or the other one we didn't do?
I'll just wait and make it again.
Okay. All right, we have a technical glitch, folks. We voted to lift the first motion from the floor, which dealt with the RCMP, but we did not vote on the actual motion. We voted to lift it from the floor. I thought we did. We voted on the motion.
You didn't lift it.
We voted to lift it.
Yes, okay.
You can posthumously lift it.
Let's rewind here. So, Councillor Perry made a motion to lift the motion from the floor. I don't remember who seconded it. Councillor Musa. So we will now vote on lifting the motion from the floor. This is the RCMP support staff motion. That passed unanimously. Now, we did already vote on the actual motion. Do we want, we'll just move that.
Okay, vote again.
All right. Well, we would have had to Actually, we would have had done away with that motion we already did if we're doing it that way.
It's null and void if you didn't lift it, so.
Yeah, okay. All right, on the motion. Somebody has not voted. And this time it passed unanimously. The motion has passed unanimously. No, no. All right, now we'll have a motion to lift the housing motion from the floor. Counselor Perry. I guess we did that, didn't we?
Yes.
Okay. So now we will vote on that motion to get a report. The motion is to have staff do a report around the request. Somebody hasn't voted. And the motion is passed unanimously.
Up to date and clear.
Okay, I think, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that concludes the business of council tonight. So I am going to declare this motion, or this